Take a look at this. With just one click, I can take my sermon video and automatically generate several highlight clips that are already edited and even have these captions added automatically, all right from a video that I've live streamed. Hello, I'm Stephen Ballast. Welcome to my channel where I explore media and tech solutions for churches. In this video, I'm going to be looking at Riverside and a phenomenon I'm calling Livestreaming 2.0. The trend I'm starting to see is that we've all figured out this live streaming thing to some extent over the past few years. Cameras, video switchers, encoders, live streaming services, how to get to all your destinations and embed on your website. Phew, that's been a lot to figure out. But now we're asking, okay, I've got all this video content from our live streams. What else can I do with it? Especially as more churches are using social media as a way to stay engaged with their congregations. How else can I use this video? And that's where services like Riverside, I think without even really realizing it, are going to start becoming really popular. Riverside's main focus has been on video podcasting. Their service at its core lets you record a video podcast with a remote guest, but still capture high-quality audio and video at both ends, and then edit and distribute your podcast video right from within the Riverside's online interface. But there have been two things that they have added that I think make this an exciting tool for churches and their live streams. The first, obviously, being the ability to live stream to multiple destinations right from within the Riverside online interface as it records your video. And the second is a whole host of tools that we can use to not only edit the content once it's been recorded or streamed, but really to generate new content. Highlight clips, transcripts, captions. It also generates something called show notes that give you a great summary of your sermons that you could use in your video descriptions online. All of these can be generated at the click of a button and are amazing time-saving tools. I'm going to show you all of this in this video, so let me walk you through how to do some of this and what I've figured out how to do so far in Riverside. Before we get into that though, first, full disclosure for this video. Riverside is sponsoring this video, and I did send them a copy of what I wanted to talk about ahead of time. They didn't ask me to change anything, but they did want me to mention that if you use the discount code BALLASTMEDIA, you can get a 15% discount if you do sign up for their service. There's a link to that down in the description of this video. Riverside offers several tiers of service depending on how many hours of video you want to edit and what features you want to use, and you can actually get started with a free account and try it out. I may take on more sponsored videos in the future, or I may not. I want to keep the channel focused on technologies and solutions to problems that I think are going to benefit the church. So if future sponsorships align with that, we'll see. I really do think that what Riverside offers is pretty cool. So let's take a look at it. What I've got set up here, I'm using this video switcher to send video into my computer through the switcher's USB output. That shows up on my computer as a webcam. So I could be using this switcher to bring all my cameras and audio in for my production, just like you normally would for a live stream of your worship service. To keep this simple though for me to record this video, I'm playing back a pre-recorded video of one of our worship services from the switcher, but for all intents and purposes, it's the same thing as you would do if you were going to be live streaming through Riverside, bringing your video in through some sort of video interface into your computer. You can find Riverside at riverside.fm, and once I've logged into my account, I'm going to click Go to Studio. And here's where I'm going to select the video capture device connected to my computer for my video and audio source. For the camera, I've got the GoStream deck selected, and for the audio input as well. I want everything coming in from my video switcher. But obviously, if you're using a different kind of setup with a different audio input device, you could select that here. Then hostname is going to show up as the name of your recording, and you can also superimpose this over your video if you want. Since I'm going to be live streaming a worship service, I'll just give it a meaningful name. Sunday First Service, for example. And then you also need to select if you're using headphones or not. This determines if echo cancellation will be active on your audio input. In my case here, that doesn't really apply, so I don't need or really want that turned on, so I'm going to select that I'm using headphones. My audio input won't even hear my speakers. Now I'm ready to click Join Studio. Okay, let's go through a few settings you might want to look at before we start streaming. First, actually live stream, this up at the top here where it says live stream off, if we pull that down, we can configure our destinations. You can stream to a page on Riverside's website and share that link if you want, but under Stream to Social, we can connect our accounts from any of these destinations, or even add a custom RTMP destination. So if I wanted to go to Facebook, it'll let me click through the process of authorizing my Facebook account, and then choosing which page I want to stream to. So now I'm configured to live stream to Facebook. At the very bottom here, we can edit the title and description that will be used on the social platforms. And at this point, I could click Go Live and I would start live streaming my video to the destinations I have configured, as well as recording my video to Riverside. But before I do that, let's look at some of the other settings that are available. Click on the Settings gear button here at the top, and on the audio and video page here, we could change our video input or audio source if we wanted to, and then this mirror setting. This was on for me by default. It flips the video that you see in the display, which is useful if you're pointing a webcam at yourself, but for a video production like this where we are seeing things from the same side as the camera direction, you'll most likely want to turn that off. And also note that this setting doesn't actually affect the recording. It doesn't actually mirror the recording. It's only how we see things in the display window. Under General, you can set the name of your studio, and in Design, you can upload a logo and set colors for your studio. But understand, these are only for the studio. They don't affect your video. These are settings for what a guest on your podcast would see when they log in to join your recording. So if you are purely just live streaming, probably not something you're going to use a lot. On the recording page, here are some important ones. You can select which sample rate you'll use for your audio. If you are recording video, you're always going to want to choose 48. And then down here, you can choose your video resolution, 720, 1080, or 4K. And these resolutions are unlocked depending on the different tier that you've paid for with Riverside, and 720 is available with the free option. Livestream, you can configure your social destinations here as well. This is kind of the same thing we saw in the earlier pull-down menu above, and you can choose to send your video to socials at a lower resolution if you want. And also, if you have a paid account, you can remove the Riverside watermark from your video here. Okay, so now I'm going to click Go Live, and two things will start happening. Not only does my video start live streaming to my destinations, but it also is being recorded in high quality to the Riverside servers. And that's where the magic that I'm about to show you begins to happen. I'm not going to make you sit through this whole service though. I'm going to let this stream and upload, and we'll fast forward in time and come back to the end of the service where you can see the cool things that we can do with our video once our live stream is completed. Okay, so now I've live streamed and recorded the whole service, and it's ending. So click stop to end the live stream and recording. And now I'm going to click view recordings. And it's going to take a few minutes depending on how long your stream was to analyze the recordings first. Once it finishes analyzing your video, we'll come into this place where we can do some really fun things with our video content. The first is Magic Clips. And this is a really powerful AI tool that will analyze the content of your video and generate some highlight clips from it. But it doesn't quite work the way I want it to without a workaround that I'll show you in just a second. And that's really because we're using Riverside in a way that I don't think they originally intended it to. I've talked to Riverside about this, and we'll see if they can make it work in a way that would be more helpful for what I want to do. But what does this do? Let's take a look. If I click Generate Clips, it analyzes your content and creates several highlight clips that are about a minute long. And if you click in to edit one of those clips, we can see that it's automatically generated an edit of a portion of the video that it determined to be a highlight. It's also added these captions here, which is great for posting on social media where people don't always watch with their audio turned on.
Speaks hard truths, that we were foolish, we were disobedient, we were in rebellion against you.
If you click captions over here on the right, we can select a different style to use for those. You could also edit this clip further if you want. It has a whole transcript of your video over here on the left, which makes editing really easy. Just select some text and click restore, and that section will be added back into the edit. Or you can select some text that's in the edit and click delete, and it will be removed. And of course you can change where the in and out points are on the timeline here just by clicking and dragging the ends. Now once we got that to a place that we liked, click export. And go back to the main view of our whole video. And once the exporting process completes, we can download this highlight clip, or we could even share it directly to social media right here from within the Riverside interface. Now, where does this break down and require a workaround? The way I would like to use this is to generate highlight clips of the sermon. That's what I'm going to be posting later in the week on social media. But if I live streamed and recorded an entire worship service, when I use magic clips, it's going to generate them from all different parts of the service, and usually it even misses the sermon altogether. The workaround for that is to use some other features we have available here in Riverside. First, I'm going to come up here and click Edit and create New Edit. And now what I want to do is manually edit the video down to just the sermon. Using these in and out point handles on the timeline, I'm just going to drag those into the portion of the worship service that contains just the sermon. And actually, this is a good demonstration of how easy it is to edit your video yourself here in the Riverside interface. If there is something really specific you want to edit and magic clips won't work for that, it's really easy to come in here and create an edit of your own. Once I've got this edited down to just the sermon, we'll click export, and that will generate a video clip of just the sermon. Once that goes through the export process, we could share the full sermon video as well, but what I'm going to do is download the video. And then I'm going to go out of this full worship service recording, come back out here and upload it to create a new recording to work with. Once that's uploaded, we'll have the sermon isolated as its own recording, and this is where I think we can start to do some real magic and that live streaming 2.0 power starts to come through. So now let's generate the magic clips and see what happens. It finds what it thinks are some highlights of the sermon, and it does a pretty good job of finding parts of the sermon that you could use to promote this on social media. Let's take a listen.
That to be a Christian means you're kind of endlessly serious, often judgmental, and honestly just a little dull. But the Bible says, God says, no, life in Him is the best life that there is. There is no better life than life in Christ. And that's been our heart, to try and capture that life, and then start to live that life week by week together here as a church. Well, today we're going to look at two of the qualities that we find listed in Galatians chapter 5. We're going to look at goodness and kindness. Now, there are two reasons why we're looking at two of the qualities. The first one, full disclosure, we're running out of weeks before the summer. I'm sorry, practical realities of ministry. May is here. Can you believe summer is barreling toward us? But there is a more thoughtful, more theological reason too. And it's this. Goodness and kindness turn out to be very, not just related, but interconnected in the Bible.
Maybe I don't want that last part of the clip where he changes topic. I can just drag the endpoint in and tighten up the edit. And again, you could do this over here on the left by editing the text. You don't even need to work down on the timeline. You can just select the text you don't want and click the delete button, and that section is removed from your clip. Some other things we can do with our clip. At the top here, we can select the aspect ratio to use. Depending on where you're going to be using the clip, you might want to choose a different orientation. We could also add some text, maybe a title at the top or bottom of the clip in addition to the captions. Click text over here on the right, and we could add whatever kind of title text would be appropriate, maybe the sermon title or series title. And once you get this clip to the point where you're happy with it, we'll export that. And when that completes, I have a great clip from the sermon that I could share on social media. It's becoming more popular for churches to use these types of clips on social media to engage their congregation throughout the week, remind them of the sermon, or get them interested in hearing the whole sermon if they missed it. And all that work was done for us to generate that clip with just a few clicks. Let's take a look at some other useful tools we have available in Riverside. Generate show notes here is actually one of my favorites. If we click that, it's going to create kind of a summary document for us. And where I find this useful is if you have a podcast or post your sermon videos on YouTube or somewhere else each week, they often have a description box that they want you to fill in. I've actually uploaded videos to Riverside just to use this feature to give me a summary I can copy and paste into the description box. This will give people a really good summary of what the sermon is about, or even something to follow along as they listen. And speaking of podcasts, we have our sermon recording right here already. So Riverside makes it really easy if you want to publish this to something like Spotify. All you have to do is click the Generate Episode button, and that will create this full episode clip we can work with. And if we go to Export, we can export just the audio, either as a WAV file or MP3. We can normalize the audio levels. And then once it finishes exporting, that will show up back here in our clips. And now if we go to the three-dot menu on the clip and select Publish, we can send this clip directly to our Spotify account. Another useful tool is the transcript. Being able to download a transcript of the entire sermon could be really useful for creating other content. Everything from turning a sermon series into a book to using it to post quotes from your pastor on your website. Everything that was said is already written out for you in an editable text form. They also have an AI audio enhancement tool. This is supposed to remove room noise and background noise. So here's a before and after of our pastor speaking. You can hear how it removes the sound of the room.
Well, thank you, Catherine, and good morning, church family. It's good to see you all. A special welcome to you if you're visiting with us. Well, thank you, Catherine, and good morning, church family. It's good to see you all. A special welcome to you if you're visiting with us.
Again, a really useful tool to have available to make your media content. So what do you think about Livestreaming 2.0? Do you think these types of tools that let us generate content from our live streams are going to be the future? I think you can start to see how incredibly useful a tool like Riverside can be for automating and simplifying some of the media tasks we do. When we are live streaming, we generate a lot of video content, and a tool like Riverside lets you easily put that content to use in different ways. I hope you found this video helpful. Until next time, bye.